Ueno. He is someone who has posted quite extensively on the forum and given his insights into Tokyo for other people, which is great. And he actually wants to help a friend, and he obviously must not be enrolled in the English industry, or he would just have probably posted a guide or helped his friend, but he's asking the rest of the forum for some pointers, and I'm going to give them to him. And I will post on that thread, but let's just read out what other people are saying first. Mr. Ueno says, "Hi, Tokyo foreigners. What I would like to know is how to help my friend. He is stateside at the moment and wants to come to Japan to teach English. He has a Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, but is having trouble getting a position at the top of chemistry he wants to do, and he's pretty laid back, so he wants to come over here for a year or two and teach English." Okay. Obviously, he has good English because he completed a bachelor's level degree and did well at school, and even though he didn't study educational literature, trust me, his English is good. Okay, I'm with that. I mean, I guess if you studied a whole bachelor's degree, you are pretty smart, especially chemistry, so you got to be able to speak the English, right? Okay. I told him to listen to Tokyo Joe's podcast. Thank you very much, Mr. Ueno. That's much appreciated, because I like to help you. I got a lot of love for you people out there in Tokyo land who want to help your friends about how to be successful in Japan. That maybe he should do something in his old field. Not a bad idea. Get some experience and then come over and actually, quote, be somebody, end quote, here in Tokyo. So that he has, quote, some reference, end quote, as to his ability. Instead of coming over and being heaped upon by a giant pile of other 21 or 22-year-old teachers here who have no experience of what life in Japan or even at home as a properly paid worker is like. Well, that's a good point, Mr. Ueno. You listen to the podcast that I have about coming over to teach English and being successful in Japan. Those of you who haven't listened to it, I recommend you do. And this is interesting. You have this idea as well that, you basically come over as a 21-year-old and you got no life experience in your chosen field or your job. It's going to be hard for you to get any reference, because you're going to be spending those formative years in a place where your skills don't really count that much, because you ain't got the experience and you ain't got the prestige that the Japanese appreciate and like and want. I mean, this guy comes over as a chemistry guy and as an English teacher. No one here is going to listen to what you have to say about chemistry. They got their own people over here who can do that. People with 10 years experience or 5 years or whatever. So this is a good point you make. Being heaped upon by a giant pile of other 21 or 22-year-old teachers. Exactly. This is what's going to happen. He's going to come over, he's going to find there's a bunch of guys over here teaching English, trying to make ends meet. Got no experience back home doing nothing, except scratching their nose. And it's going to be very hard for him to get any reference as to what he should be doing, because these people are going to be struggling to get the hours just like him. All right? So this is a good point you make, Mr. Ueno. Quote, I'm continuing here reading from Mr. Ueno's post. I have told him that getting his deep bearings at home and getting that kind of life experience could be useful to him before coming over. But he insists that he wants to come over and teach. I had some experience dealing with this. That was some time ago. Okay, so Mr. Ueno knows something about teaching, but years ago. And I want to know from other forum members with better and more recent experience what he should do. What are his chances, and what's the best way to approach it? Yes, I have read the other threads here and everywhere about the dim, dark reality of some of the English schools here. But he has what? Oh, I see. But he has his head screwed on and somehow needs to do this. Thank you in advance. Okay, so the guy wants to come over, and he wants to teach English. Obviously, he's hell-bent on that. He wants to come over and just kind of spend a couple of years here teaching English. Interesting. Well, you've got a lot of good points already. You've already identified big problems you'll have. But you want to know some tips from people who have got some more relevant and recent experience in English. Well, I think you got the right ideas, Mr. Ueno. You told him that, basically over here he's going to have trouble because competing with a whole bunch of other people exactly like him. He's got no life experience to show for what he's done. Just got a degree. That's not going to be respected over here because they already got 1 million people with the same degree. Millions. With experience on top of that. So that's a big problem. Let's look at some of the responses. Mr. Big in Japan says, where does your friend want to live? There is a huge difference, as you'll probably have told him, between Tokyo and Osaka, etc. He may have better chances in the country. That's right, actually. But in the country and the city, there are both funky things happening with the schools. Interesting to say that, because that's what I hear. That's what I see. You know, I spend a lot of times going to these bars on the streets, and I see the English teachers all congregating on a Friday night after their class. And I have to agree, there's a lot of funky stuff going on in these schools. No one seems to like their job. No one seems to think it's a good job, and no one seems to actually be comfortable and safe. They're always afraid there's going to be another 1,000 people coming over on a plane taking their positions. Another 1,000 people coming over on a plane taking their hours. There's going to be some problem with the school. The school's going to lose money, just like Nova did, not making any money, had to shut down. Right? I see a lot of concern. I mean, to me, you don't know who I am. I'm just some guy at a bar, but I hear you, I see you, and I recognize you. You're English teachers. And I have to say, I see a lot of concern out there on the grapevines, right? Continuing with Mr. Big in Japan's response, and the link is at the bottom. You can read the whole thread. He probably will not be able to go into a university, right? In fact, he won't, because it is a select group of people who do. That's probably right. Becoming a professor over here is pretty tough. But as for being an ALT, or Eikaiwa teacher, he should start making inquiries in all the schools in the area that he would like to teach in. Not a bad idea, Mr. Big in Japan. And write to them in English and Japanese, with a photo and CV. Not a bad idea at all. You've got to have a photo on your CV. Do it in Japanese and English so people can see. You got to respect why he would be prepared to commit teaching with them for a set period of time. That's probably right. You don't come over here for 3 months and do it. You got to tell them. You got to be there for 6 months or a year and see how it goes. Continuing with Mr. Big in Japan's response on the forum. The problem is that the minute he goes over there, even if everything is A-OK, even if they are being honest with him, actually taking care of him, actually paying him, giving him the leave, giving him the resources, and not a dog-eared text from 1991, letting him do something worthwhile, giving him proper holidays, giving him everything allowed under the labor codes. He still has the same fundamental problem there in Japan and does his worst basis, that he's unemployed, if that his employer will be receiving just another batch of 10, 20, 30